Oh no. Miss Jen, are you there? Folks, give me just a minute. Seems that we are having technical difficulties. I'm not sure what is going on. Give me just a minute, folks. Hang tight. Th- There, you're muted, Miss Jen.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go. There we
Perfect. Oh my goodness. I don't know what happened. Everything froze up as soon as I went over to turn us live onto the our Facebook feed. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It just like completely was like, and no. So I'm just gonna do my share real fast. But it was like I could tell that everything was probably working, but not that it was actually working. So hey everybody, I read so many books. Maybe that's what broke everything. It's the only thing I can guess. Oh, lordy, lordy. Okay, so there is tons and tons and tons of really great stuff today. So many number ones dropped, so many, and a couple of absolutes, big switcheroos. Please, please, please tell everybody that you know, do a bunch of sharing and all of those fun things. Please let everybody know they should show up in about 30 seconds to find out what's going down. Everybody, and welcome back. This is Minute to Skim It, which, man, I thought that there was gonna be some stuff I could skip over. I'm really thankful that I read some of these. Like I had advanced copies of some stuff, because otherwise I don't think I'd have made it. Woo. Okay, so this week is a heavy first appearance week, first issue week. Really cool universes that have been going on for a long time. Surprise back information week. And as Barlord says, some really cool indies that the indies that keep on giving and giving and giving. Pre-apologize for your pocketbook this week. There's no way around it. There's some stuff that you're just not going to want to miss. So let's get into it so you don't have to hurry through any of these things because they're so awesome. As Barlord said, Excommunicated is definitely something that you should not sleep on. It is pretty much what you would expect. It is definitely exorcism based. Essentially, the book starts out with a priest is trying to do, like, on his own in a house, a removal of a demon, which you can see he's having a really hard time for, and he makes a call. Weirdly, he calls in a nun, which she's also very surprised about this call. The demon does remarkably look like that little face up there. It's very, very scary looking. And then everything else is very spoilery about it, so I'm not going to tell you about it. It is very straightforward in the story that it is telling, except for when you get toward the end and you're like, wait, what? What's going on? Uh-oh. That's very scary. Hey, Corey. So, beautifully rendered. This is a vault book. Robinson wrote this thing, and it is so pretty. I mean, when you're going to draw demons, I guess if you're going to make, the demons aren't beautiful, but the art is beautiful. The many-eyed. I don't know if there's an actual demon out there that we know as being like a many-eyed demon. But maybe do some research and figure out if that's based on an actual, like, in the Catholic Bible demon. But anyway, this is definitely a don't miss. Probably not for the young, although there's no ooh la la in it. It's just demony grossness. Big twist. Dog tag. Okay, I was so excited about this one, y'all. All right, so I don't know if you've ever watched me, you know my extreme love of everything that Mark Russell does. Everything he does is just marked with genius. If you have not read Traveling to Mars, pick up a trade paperback copy. It is just a single 5 or 6 issue book series that he did, which will break your heart. It'll destroy you and make you cry. And that's what it's for. But Dog Tag is very interesting because it tells a story that feels like it's pulled straight out of someone's war diary. I don't know if that's true. But this is a story of a fellow who gets called to action in war. This is for World War II. And he is completely 100% ready to go and fight on the front lines, but instead gets called to help with some disinformation. So the higher-ups know what we're really doing is showing up on a very specific beach on D-Day. But what they want to have the enemy believe is that we're showing up somewhere else. And they believe they've already got big people that are doing like reporting, doing the disinformation in big papers, which they know the enemy isn't going to believe, right? Because, of course, we would put the untruth in those. But this guy has got his own little, like, newspaper, maybe attached to his school newspaper or something. He's still very young. And so they use that. And so it's really cool tale showing, like, he gets put into, like, they actually put him on the ground in the place where they're giving the disinformation about where the attack's going to take place. And they put together all of these, like, pretend tanks and pretend everything. And I think this really actually happened in real world. So it was kind of cool to see that. But the dog tag moniker comes from, like, after his job there is done, D-Day's already started, then they pull him from there and basically have him kind of like, as people get pulled from the front line, that they're big injuries and are dying, he collects the dog tags. So it's a heart-wrenching tale. This is not the end. You can tell that there's going to be more story after this one. So if you are a fan of war tales that feel very much like they're real, like if you've ever read Garth Ennis's war stuff, that is so good. You can tell he is obsessed with the study of war and what actually happened. I always think it's a good thing to read tales about things that actually happened so that we try not to repeat them if we can. So wonderful, amazing. Thanks, Mark Russell, for continuing to, like, write things that make me, like, emotionally invested in the book. So that's what happened. Ben 10. Okay, this is perfect. So Casey did an amazing job of, if you had never, ever watched Ben 10, it wasn't your, like, childhood era, then you're going to be fine. If you did watch Ben 10 and it is your era, you're going to be fine. This gives pretty much origin story where you meet Ben. Ben is out with his grandpa and his sister. He's trying to, like, get them to unplug from their phones and stuff. So they're out doing, like, an RV trip. You find out his sister's obsessed with the idea of aliens, right? Which is funny because of what happens. And then it's not going to be very spoilery because everyone should know the story of Ben 10, but there's something that falls from the sky. When Ben is walking in the woods, he encounters it. It wraps around his wrist and becomes this device that allows him to like take on alien forms. And he doesn't have any control over it. Definitely not in this first issue. But I feel like in the series at some point he does. So this is all about him fighting things he's found in the forest without any kind of like actual knowledge of how to make his stuff work. It's very surprising. And the military guy is coming because, of course, the military is going to show up if you have something fall from the sky that they might want or need. So this is perfect for pretty much every age, honestly. It says that it's rated teen, but it's just for violence. So if your kids watch anything on TV that has any kind of violence at all, they'll be fine with this. There's not like language or any of those kinds of things. Well drawn, really cool. I heard that the sell-through or the ordering for this was like really, really strong. I think they said the ordering for it was 80,000 copies, which is like, if found it described as absolute Ben 10, maybe so. Maybe I need to go back and watch the original Ben 10s. TJ! So don't miss out on this. If you have any idea that you might want to have a fun romp to read, I think this is going to be something that like we're going to see have more than one print. It's just my guess. Okay. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have read something. Something is Killing the Children or the House of Slaughter books or anything else that's tied to this book series. This is this new standalone storyline which deals with a very specific event. So, this is written by, I think that says Tate Broomhall and James Tynion, of course, because it's his universe. So let me see if I can get this all straight for you guys. So Erica Slaughter is from the House of Slaughter. They are part of the Greater Order of St. George. The Order of St. George is a huge organization who all have, each house has its own very specific roles within the organization, but by and large, they are there to fight these crazy creatures, which you'll find the name of in this book. I can never remember it. It's really cool. Named Obscura, I think is what it's called. But they can't be seen by anything but kids and the people that are part of the Order of St. George who fight them. And when they show up, they're very dangerous. Not only can the houses defeat them, but this is a very specific tale about the organization and what happens when the lead of the organization, which is called the Dragon, looks like they're getting close to the end of their life. So there's a definite order for which they consider who might take their place. Think of it kind of like the choosing of a new pope, in which there's certain members of each of the houses that come together and have their votes, etc. So that part of the book is really cool. There's actually an excursus in the middle of the book that actually like just walks you through the steps for what that looks like. A little bit of the discussion here is there's only one black mask that's left. So the representative is obviously going to be this person. And the very beginning of the book shows one of the leaders sending the one black mask to go and sit alongside the dragon to kind of like, I don't know, oversee their last days, which is a very important job. Obviously, you don't have any, I don't think there is normally a problem with people going in and like doing away with the dragon, because that would be bad if they found out about that. I don't know what happens to you. But there is a huge, gigantic twist at the end of this book that you should not miss if you like this series, bunches of series at all. I did not see it coming. And neither will you. And I also didn't realize that the red masks are largely in charge of mundane tasks like cooking and cleaning. Did you guys know that? I just learned that today. I was this many days old. I'm probably a red mask, honestly. All right, Rogue One, Cassian Andor. This is a nice little story that happens within the universe. Within the universe, he gets sent to go and try to acquire some bit of information. The problem is that everyone's on the lookout for what might happen, or this information in general, including, of course, the Empire. And Cassian has his cool, I think his name is K2, his robot. That robot is essentially an Empire droid that he is somehow converted or reprogrammed or something. It is a very good, like, the whole book really does look like him pretty well. And so it makes it very, very awkward when, he needs to show up and go to this planet, but if he shows up with the droid, then obviously then people are going to be like, what is going on? We don't trust that robot. Anyway, there's a bunch of like intrigue and trying to like sneak around. And of course, K2 comes to the rescue because he does. That's what K2 does. So great tale, a lot of fun. If you were a Star Wars person, even if you've never really seen any of, like, it's been forever since you've seen Rogue One, you don't remember who Cassian is, it's okay. It's a good standalone story. All right, this is Jubilee Deadly Reunion. I got to remember what in the world's going on here. Sorry. I only read 29,000 books. Oh, this one is such a really gorgeous out. Who does the art in this? So the artist in here is last name YG. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to try because I'm going to mess it up. But the writing is by my friend Jean Yang, which makes it amazing. So this is largely a tale about Jubilee finding someone randomly in her room when she comes home. And that person ends up being someone tied to her past. She figures this out because this person calls her by her like real name from her heritage in Cantonese. So it's mostly an adventure about her going and trying to figure out what he's up to. It looks like he is a spy of some sort or an agent of some sort, and he's got some kind of agenda, but also he's trying to reconnect with her. So you get to see what he really looks like and why he is definitely in her life right now. And then they have, it's really cool because you get to see her kind of like, I don't know, everyone gives Jubilee a hard time about like, what's her purpose? But this one is neat because it's part of the Marvel Voices celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So if you want to support that awesomeness, you should. The art is really killer inside. Like I said, every page feels really gorgeous. Real thick, like brush stroke kind of ink. How to explain? Really cool. Very beautiful. Written names sound familiar. Superman smashes the Klan. Oh! Very cool. All right. I didn't know what to think about this because it's been so long since Civil War happened. And I was like, what can they possibly tell in the space of Civil War that hasn't already been told? But this is wicked cool, y'all. So in the Civil War that we see in the movies, the kind of like the dynamics between Tony and Steve are a little bit different than they are in the comic book series. So, is it going to be is Jubilee going to be ongoing or mini series of one shot? I actually don't know. They have this crazy way of like, they'll put #1 on everything, even if it's a single shot. This could be a single shot. Let me look at the end of it and see if it has like a to be continued, because it might. Sorry, y'all. I got to answer this question. It's important. Important to know. It just says end. It just says end. So this might be a single shot. And that's cool. Totally fine with the one shot. So in the Civil War Unmasked part, Christos Gage kind of tackles the whole question about like why would Tony be so about everybody registering for the mutant whatever registration, right? For the superhero registration thing. For any other reason than like the government says please do. But this is way cool because this actually has Bishop show up and take Tony back in time, or back, not really in time, to the way his universe works out with the Sentinels and everything. And shows him the why. Like if, I guess he is from the future, right? It's like if everybody isn't signed up for the Mutant Registration Act or whatever it is, if you don't do that, then this is the future that's going to happen because the government's going to enact this other thing, which is the Sentinels basically being in charge of everything. And within that, other than destroying all of the soups, they also believe that humans are dangerous to everything. So if you've ever read any of the stuff that happens in Bishop's future, you'll understand how terribly bleak that future is. So this really made me understand so much more the why Tony was so invested in his side and not willing to bend at all to Steve's thing. Although I would have thought Tony would have explained it to Steve. That would make more sense. But this is a really great tale out of the universe of it all. Okay, Astonishing Miles Morales Spider-Man, The Art of Thwip. It's a really long name for a book. No, this is not manga, because it feels like it might be manga if you listen to something that has a really long name like that. But this is two tales. There's two tales in this cool story, and they're kind of more fun. So think of the more like young Miles adventure side of the universe and less heavy, the end of the world is occurring. So the first part of the story is about Miles and his best guy from the chair hanging out and trying to figure out something fun to do. They decide they're going to go and check out this art exhibit. The problem is that also there are some bad guys, quote unquote bad guys. They're not very good bad guys. Deciding also that they're going to go, they're broke, so they're going to go and try to do a heist there. So it's Bumbler and Vespa, which basically dress up as bees. And it's a fun tale that happens when they both run into each other at the museum and how whatever happens at the end. That's a really fun thing. And then there's a second story, which looks like comes out of Miles Morales Spider-Man 32 through 36, like the character. And this character is Pyrrha, Pyrrha. And that is a fun storyline romp too. So if you want to have something, another light and bright book, kind of like Ben 10 is, these are just fun rated T tales that you might consider picking up, especially if you like Miles. Okay. No lie. Gail Simone, seriously, girl. You will just like take any universe and be like, let me make you love this. Do they look like John Belushi and Elliot Gould? No, they do not. They do not. Just when you thought you knew everything about She-Spawn. She-Spawn's been around for a long time in the Spawn universe. This is Simone definitely putting her own stamp on the title and the character. So, this is what you need to know. What can I tell you about this? This puts her together with 3 other characters from the Spawn universe as kind of a group, right? By self-definition, the group is not a hero group. So it's Redeemer. Who are all these guys? It's all the Scorched characters. So if you know her in the Scorched, it's Redeemer, Medieval Spawn, and Haunt, and then her, Jessica Priest. And just imagine that Gail Simone makes Jessica very spicy in her speech. This is definitely not for kids. So this deals a little bit about her, like trying to go and have a more normal life. You get to see her in her everyday gigs. But and then she just kind of like leaves and wants to go and spend time away in a cabin. But of course, something shows up there. I don't think the thing that shows up is just a human. It doesn't look 100% human. It looks a little scary. But anyway, definitely you want to get it because there's a character that shows up on the last page. It's a kid. But when you see the page, you'll be like, what? I told you there's a bunch of books that have big twists at the end. And this is one of those where you're going to be like, oh, goodness gracious. Now I got to have someone explain this to me. What in the world is going on? So anyway, recommend. Like I said, sorry for your pocketbooks today. If Destruction Be Our Lot. Matt Rosenberg has been on the stomping grounds talking about this book. It's essentially double thick or close to double thick book that has our main character, who happens to be a robotic Abraham Lincoln. Think that maybe his job might have been in the Hall of Heroes or Hall of Presidents at Disney or wherever that was, where he would just do speeches that Abraham would do, and that's his whole purpose in life. This is a world in which there are very few humans, if any, left. And robots now, despite the fact that they still operate, some of them not very well anymore, are losing all of their purpose because there's no one to serve anymore. The things that they used to do, there's no one to do them for. So what do you do? This is like one of those age-old science questions of like, what makes a thing a human? And what do you do when the thing you were made for, human or robot or whatever, you can't do anymore? So very thought-provoking. The world looks like this, where it's a lot of empty buildings, but robots going around and doing their stuff. And the end of the book kind of like brings together some of the other robot characters that you meet, as you know, you have him wandering around. And this is definitely going to move forward as a group of them trying to find their way in the world, which Rosenberg writes these kinds of books a lot and very well, that make you really think deeply about the human place. This is wicked good. And if you can find them out there in the world, he made like these $5 bills with the robot Lincoln on them as a little promo. I understand they're selling for big money, which is weird. For more than $5. So this one's definitely going to be a sellout this week. All right. Fair warning. There are only 2 of the Ghost Machine official guidebooks. So the last one came out last month. And I did talk to the guys at Ghost Machine to verify this information. In the first issue, for sure, there were a couple of different entries in this, because think about it like just like the DC and Marvel official indexes to the universes. You guys remember having those back in the 90s, or do you still have them all stashed away when they had the deluxe versions and then the extra characters? Very useful, super useful. This one, the first volume, I talked to them about it. I was like, I feel like there are characters and things that are addressed in here that have not happened yet. So are these first appearances? And they said, yes, they are. So this continues in this book. I see at least one, there's definitely one character that their first appearance is in a book that has not happened yet. I don't know when it's supposed to happen. And then there's another couple of them that I'm unsure about. I know that a lot of them have happened. We've seen them. The issues they say is their first appearance, we know where they are. But there's some other stuff I'm unsure about. So if you are a completionist for Ghost Machine first appearances, you should definitely do it. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of sadness in their heart that they don't have like 20,000 copies of the 80-page giant, which is the first appearance of almost everybody from the early universe. And plus, I love this, the way that it's laid out, because it gives you kind of like their back history, especially even if they're like most of the characters that are part of Ghost Machine are like real people that are historical people. Maybe like Johnny Appleseed is in there, not real, right? But other characters that are historical characters, or they tell pretty much all about them, but it does give you insight into the characters that are extra characters that you don't know anything about. It includes at the very end of the listing, like kind of what, if they have powers, what they are, and what we know about them. So even if you didn't get it from what you were reading in the books that they come out of, I feel like they tell us some stuff in the guidebook that may not be able to be figured out that way. That might be information only here. So don't miss out on having these. I know that sometimes these things can feel like just extra money that you're spending, but I find them to be very useful. Just like the thing that they put at the end of every one of them where it has the timeline, they keep on adding things to it. If you're paying attention, they added Widow X. So don't miss it. The Energon Universe, the 2026 special. This looks a lot like the cover that was on the Free Comic Book Day book. I don't know how much in the Free Comic Book Day book they had that is in this book. I don't know if it's if it's a duplicate of the Free Comic Book Day book. I have no idea. I just know I did not read the Free Comic Book Day book, but I read this. So this does give you a almost full comic book length introduction to how Mask joins the universe. Because Mask is the new thing. There's Mask on the front cover, so you know that's what's happening. You don't need to know anything about Mask. You don't need to go back and watch the cartoon. You don't need to know anything about the toys. But if you do, you'll recognize a great many of the characters here. So it gives you introduction for how they join the universe. But the other cool thing that is in this book is there's also 3 more stories that are like little shorter stories that are in the back of it that also kind of give you little bits of a tale that then say this continues on in Void Rivals. This continues on in Transformers. This continues on in G.I. Joe. So I think that the stuff that's given to you here in the special might be stuff that doesn't exist anywhere else in those books. So if you wanted to know this little bit of a tale, this is where it is. So again, if you are an Energon Universe completionist, or if you want to get a head start on what the world is Mask doing as part of this universe, which I can tell you, it makes 100% sense. I'm like, perfect. Absolutely awesome. So I would never thought that I'd be so into a toy-related universe, but I am. All right, Sleepy Hollow. I have not read any of the other Sleepy Hollow books, and it's been so long since I've read the Sleepy Hollow, since I've watched the Sleepy Hollow movie. But this is a cool tale that I don't know if it's ever been addressed in any of those things. This basically tells about these 2 sisters who most of the book is about kind of like their upbringing. Their dad is very abusive to their mom, and the tale is essentially about how they watch their mom basically poison their father, and they learn that lesson so well that something else happens in their life later on. And one of these girls ends up being the person who kind of has like dark magic control over Ichabod Crane, is the way I understand it. So it's a very cool, dark tale about how, if you end up with no parents, and your parents were accused, or your mom was accused of being a witch, and no one will take you in, how do you survive? So dark, awesome, totally ties in. Great stuff. I think I might be able to fit it. Oh my lord, I love this book. I don't think I would ever like Guy Gardner except for his introduction in the Superman stuff. He's perfectly played as a total turd in that film. Okay, so this isn't only about Guy Gardner. This is Guy Gardner being Guy Gardner, but also you get to see him and my favorite of all the lanterns, of course, John Stewart's my favorite. Okay, so let me make sure I'm not mixing this up with another. I think there's another. Well, there is Green Lantern, so I don't want to mess up that storyline. So the book basically starts out with Guy. He's captured some kind of crazy alien something, and threatens him if he doesn't give him some information that he's gonna leave him on this wall of dead creatures that he's got. I don't know. So you find out in the storyline that he basically is strong arming this alien to find out where these creatures called Drakonites are. And the reason why he needs to find them seems like an altruistic thing that a Green Lantern would do, but it's not. He has another reason why. What's funny about the storyline, it's called Light Club. I guess you can't talk about Light Club. So yeah, John shows up. A lot of the book beyond that is basically at some point John Stewart has duplicated himself, and then one of the versions of him has died. This is part of the main storyline that has been happening, and it's a lot about the John that exists being sent after Guy to try to figure out where he is and what he's doing, and then Guy trying to figure out which John Stewart am I talking to? Is this the John Stewart that I know, who's my friend, or is it not? So this is a really thick book. This is a gigantically thick book in the All-In universe. So it does tie into the main storyline. It says hero-tastic, problematic. This is very true. What were you asking about, Jay? What should what?
That haircut should be against your vows. That what? That what should be what? That's my favorite line from him.
That's right. Yep. I got you. You're quoting some fun stuff. All right. Just when you thought maybe, okay, so last week, I think they put out the Sonic the Hedgehog DC. They made a printing that was all connecting covers, which was so cool. It looked really cool all lined up together. So this is a new tale. I think that enough people liked the way that these two universes came together that they were like, you know what? Let's keep going. Sega wants to do it, and so does DC. And so they did. So this is a tale in which the overarching tale is about the whole how they're getting between each other's universes, or it's their one universe that they're kind of jumping in to together. But it does continue to do that little thing that they have been doing in the other series, in which they kind of the characters that they matched up there, Flash and I think it's regular Sonic, or a part of it, kind of a pair that makes sense. So there are tales like that where they have a Sonic character put together with one of the other characters that makes sense, and them kind of having part of a tale. So think 4 pages maybe for each of the character pairings that are all part of one story, but they don't try to have them, it's a really busy thing if they have all the Sonic characters and all the DC characters all together on one page of storyline. So This is a lot of fun. I enjoy it, even though it's probably not aimed at me. It's probably aimed at a younger crowd, but whatever. Whatever. I get. I agree. The mashups are terrific. It's so funny. They wanted to make sure I read this one so much they accidentally gave me 2 copies. So I definitely read it. This one basically is a big long tale about Batman and most of his kids, all trying to, they know that the government led by Vandal Savage and the mayor was Poison Ivy and somebody else. They're like all after Batman as like a criminal, and all of the people that are aiding, abetting him, helping him along, which would be Oracle, all the kids, including his weird, like very strained relationship with Damian. So this is basically them trying to make a run at going to get going to their safe houses or wherever they hide all of their tech and stuff, and going to get it and remove it before the government goes and grabs it up. And it doesn't always work out the way that they want to, because clearly the government's, I don't know if there's somebody on the inside or whatever, but it feels like they're already there for a lot of those places. So one of the bat-related kids is actually captured here. So one's going to fail, or one's going to fall, sorry. You just have to figure out the what. The what and the who. I hope everyone's reading Batman and doesn't think that like I only need to read absolute Batman. There's no reason to read this Batman universe. But this Batman universe is just as cool. And I don't know how to explain how it could be just as cool. This guy doesn't have spikes, and he doesn't have like giant, tall antenna ears, and he doesn't have giant, massive trucks. But he does have a trick in this book that I've never seen them do before. Yeah, fraction is all we need, right? Fraction's the one. Okay, now we're into absolute goodies. After last week having nothing absolute, we've got 2 this week. This is absolute Superman. So when last we left Superman, you had Black Adam. I'm sure you figured that out. Hopefully you read the last one. Black Adam is the thing that's become awoken. So like Ra's al Ghul has had him hidden away, I don't know, in the basement or something, and wakes him up. And that's a bad plan. I think he realizes that Superman is so powerful, because remember, Superman just kind of like figures out for himself more and more and more what his power load is, which is almost infinite. There's not a lot that can stop him, but maybe a god might be able to. And in this universe, you find out that they call him Black Adam has got some other name, Thoth something. That he was basically a god / Egyptian pharaoh for a short amount of time, and then was put away. So he does not know when you see him in this interaction with Superman, he does not know. Thank you, Teth Adam. He does not know that he has been asleep for 3,000 years. That's a little surprise for him. So if you like to see head-to-head fighting between 2 seemingly unstoppable forces, with of course one of them being Superman trying to talk Teth Adam down, this is definitely one of those awesome fight issues. So good to see what's going on, and it's not even the only good baddie that shows up here. There is a death. There is a Talia in this one. Hawkman is in this one. Yeah, it's got everything. It's ramped up and ramped up and ramped up like it has been doing. It's going to keep on going. Okay. Here we go. Absolute green lantern. When last we saw Joe, she'd been kind of like sucked out into kind of like the, for lack of a better way to describe it, it actually describes in this issue as being they are in the Oa, which is also in the lantern. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not 100% certain I understand about what that 100% what all that means. Tamare, which is there in a red lantern, has gathered together John Stewart is the gold lantern, and I can't remember who are the other ones that are present. But it becomes clear that he's gathering them there for a purpose that's his own purpose. And Joe isn't about it because Joe, who's the Green Lantern, sees that her ex, Cass, is in danger. And she's like, no, I want to go back. I'm not letting anything happen to her again because, you know, the thing that happened to her before was that Joe cheated on her and other things. So this is just a ramped up, like more and more, seeing how much power, what this guy is up to. It feels like he's not after the Earth, but he's after kind of like everything. Oa, all of it. So he's dangerous. And the other things that I didn't understand is he keeps on calling Joe Tama Joe. She's like, I'm not a Tamare. So maybe there's something about Tamare, and then later on in the book, she actually talks about herself being an Abin Sur. So I thought those were actually beings. I thought those were individual lanterns, but maybe in this universe that's not true. Maybe it's a kind of lantern. So anyway, cool. Battle. Sweet. I'm going to make it through everything. Huzzah. And the last one. Never call a woman the wrong name. That's true. She keeps correcting him. Avatar Last Airbender. This is the Kyoshi Warriors, which I'm going to tell you everything that I know I culled from this book. Because although I know that Avatar is a really great universe, I haven't had time to watch or read all of it. So I'm going to use what I read from this to infer stuff. So it looks like the Kyoshi Warriors are Earth warriors that lived on an island and haven't entered the fray of the mainland. And so they have just arrived. These are young ladies who have been trained in the arts of the Kyoshi Warriors. They get kind of dismissed a little bit. They're there to help fight the fire. Oh, what are they called? Oh, the fire what's?
Is it just Fire Nation?
The Fire Nation. Thank you. It was like the fire some things. Oh no, Fire Nation. So they have some kind of adventuring when they first arrive on the mainland. As people like, some people are afraid of them because they have a reputation as being very fierce warriors, and then other people don't give them any kind of like, they're like too young and they don't really think about anything about them. But they do end up encountering the army that is amassing to fight the Fire Nation. And you can tell right away that there's stuff that's just not going to go right in this relationship between them. So I look forward to hearing what you guys have to think about how this is going to work out for the leader of this group and the ladies in general. It is a 3-issue series, so it's not gonna take very long to suss all that stuff out, of course. Oh my gosh, I did not pull them out. Let's see what the graphic novels are today. I'm so sorry I did not have them out. There's some cool stuff. Your chance to get Batman Second Night happens this week. Really good Elseworlds book, crime noir style. And the cool DC compact book that comes out this week is Green Arrow Year One. Probably a good one to pick up, considering that we're gonna get Absolute Green Arrow soon. Not that Green Arrow is in actually that series, but it'll give you some background to the character at least. For people that are collecting the more digest size of Invincible, the volume 15 comes out this week. I think this is a brand new book. I don't think this is restock for us, but if you like webtoons, the second volume of The Kiss That. New It's Jeff. If you're a It's Jeff collector, Friends and Rivals. The fifth volume in the Transformers Energon universe. Yeah, you guys find what's going to be in my show, my after show. Blood Letter. This is Joe Illage writing in the Spawn universe. I did sell a ton of the regular Die series during Free Comic Book Day because I put it together with my Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I was like, if you love Dungeon Crawler Carl, you'll like Die. This is the second series of Die called Loaded. The first volume comes out this week. And Hornsby in Halo Volume 2. If you're not hip to the jive, that Hornsby and Halo issue number 0, and there's a bunch of other tie-ins to they're putting together the actual group that's supposed to come out of Hornsby and Halo and the Rockefellers, and then some stuff you have not been introduced to. Make sure you tell your local comic shop if you're interested in making sure you have everything that's part of that greater Ghost Machine universe. And definitely it is your opportunity now to go and message your local comic shop to grab up any of these books that we reviewed today. I hope that my information is helpful to y'all and I don't ramble too much. Thanks for being understanding that I read a ton of stuff and I have to do me opening the books is literally me making sure that I don't cross over 2 books and tell you that something happens in one, but it actually happens in another. Apologize for that. And do stay tuned. Right after the show, I'm going to sign off here and then come back on. Same both places. If you're watching us from YouTube or from Comic Book Shopping Network, I'm going to pop back on. I'm going to sell you the new comic books I just told you about, including super excited for our exclusive Ben 10. And I've got some cool variants from that. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here. And Jay, are there any other announcements on your end?
Well, Miss Jen's going to end our night here on The Experience. Folks, if you pick up anything Miss Jen talked about tomorrow and you liked it, or maybe it wasn't for you, come back to this video and let us know what you thought about the books. We're always curious, something we may love, you might be kind of on, something we're kind of on, you might have actually loved. So come back and let us know. We really want to know what y'all think about these books.
Absolutely. You can do it here on this video, or I do have a Facebook group that I started. It says that it's for what's in the box, but it really is intended for anything that we talk about. It is like an open forum. Think of like a Discord that won't make you crazy because there's too much stuff being posted there. It's more calm. I made a post about my favorite book or things I'm collecting. Do interact there. It's a lot of fun. We're trying to have ways that you guys can talk to each other that are outside of here if you wanted to chit chat about your collection and what you're looking forward to. Perfect. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys in about 4 minutes. Bye.